Hey guys, just a quick little demo showing how to create like maybe a Christmas candle or something like that in Blender really quick using some modifiers and some other stuff. So I'm going to say Shift A, I'm going to go in here and I'll choose a mesh and I'll use a plane. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in a way that it's going to make it so that it's non-destructive. So I'm going to tab into this. I'll select everything in vertex mode right here and I'll say merge to center like this, and then I'll hit the 1 key on my numpad and the 5 key, and that puts me in the side view. And now there's my vertex. I'm in vertex mode. I'll hit the E to extrude and the X, which lines it up. As you can see, I'm moving it out here. I'll just move it up something like this, and EZ and move it up like that, and then EX like this, EZ up like this, then E, maybe I'll move it over to here, and EZ up to something like this. So maybe let's just take all these right here, move them down just a little bit, and then I'll take all of these. I don't know if you can see them, but I'm going to take all these vertices right here, and I'm going to give them a mean bevel weight of 0.5. And now with that selected, I'll go over here to the modifier tab, and I'll add a bevel modifier. By the way, I'm using the 3.0. It's not the brand new one. I guess it comes out tomorrow, but this should work in 3.0 easily. So in the bevel modifier, I'm going to add the vertices command. I want to do 8 segments, and I want the limit method to be weight, and that way I can adjust these. So I'll tab back into here, and I'm going to just take these two. Actually, I'll take these 3. This one, and I'm going to make them, I'll just move them down a little bit there. I'll move them down to something smaller, something like maybe right about there. And then I'll take these 2 and I'll move them also down a little bit. So I've got a little bit of change. Maybe this one might go down a little bit more, something like this. And actually, I'm going to make this a little bigger, and I'll explain why here in a second. But so that's kind of the shape that I'm going to go after. Now I want to basically take this and I'm going to spin it around. And so the way we do that is with the screw modifier. There we have it right there. Let's make this 64 right there. And if I look at this, I might want to tab into this. I might want to make this just a little bit larger, a little bit higher. So maybe like that. That's more like a candle. That looking more like a candle. Okay, now I've got this done, and the next thing I'm going to do after I do this, I'm going to make sure that I have merge on here, and I'm going to also make sure that in normals we have smooth shading and calculate order. And so if I look at that, that'll be good. Then I'll go and I'm going to add a solidify. And the solidify, I'm going to make it a positive one, and I'll go into my normals for this object, and let's auto smooth them at 30, so that looks good. And this solidify, let's go back to the thickness, and I don't know, that's probably not bad. Maybe something like that might be fine. As maybe a little more, 0.007 maybe. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty good, and that's really kind of our shape, right? So then what I'll do, I'm going to name this the glass, and then let's just go ahead and add a candle shape. I'm going to take this Shift D, right click. So I just made a duplicate. I basically copy and paste it right in the same spot. So I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to call this one candle. And then I'm going to hide this one. And then let's look at this one again. And I want to add a little bevel on this guy. So I'm going to go and after this solidify, I'm going to add a modifier. It's called a bevel. Notice when I add it, and let's go into my wireframe and look, nothing really got added. And that's because we've already kind of maxed out some of it. Like right in here, you can see these are maxed out. So there's no room to put a bevel in here. So what I need to do is I need to add a weld modifier in between these. I'll move it up one. Let's just drag it. Let's move it up to here. And now notice that I've got that bevel, and that bevel works really good. And so I'm going to just use a 1 bevel there. And in that bevel, I'm going to go in geometry, and under shading, under shading, I will harden the normals, and that will make that kind of a nice radius area right there. So I can do that with only one face. But keep in mind, if you use hardened normals, it's got to be on the very last modifier. Anything after that is going to screw up the normals for the rest of your model. So, I'd recommend if you don't want to do that, then you just come in here and you set it to 8, and then you're good. Remember, the rule is it's either 1 or 8. Or more, right? But it's not 4. 4 is not going to do it. It's going to screw up your smoothing. We've got that done, and let's just hide that one, and let's turn back on our candle one. And we'll select the candle, And we'll go into our front view and tab into this. And basically what I'm going to do is take these and say, I'm going to X those vertices. Actually, let's do this one to X. Now, actually, let's take this one and I'm going to grab it and just snap it right to the center line. I'm using, the reason that works is because I hold the control key down and I have this snap to the vertex, and so it's a snap to this vertex right there. Now I want to make this a bevel weight of 0, so we have a very strong line there. And then I can go ahead and just add another modifier, a bevel modifier in there. Actually, I can just come in here and, actually, let's just do that. We'll just come in here and zoom up on that. Instead of a bevel weight of 0, let's make it a bevel weight of 0.005, something like that. Okay, and then let's take the solidify and we're going to delete that. So there's our bevel right there, 0.05, something like that. Let's just give it just a tiny bit more, something maybe like that. Yeah, for the candle, it's going to have a little bit of a lip on it, so we'll leave that alone the way it is. Tab out of it. So we have a candle, and now we have glass. Turn them both on, and let's turn off our wireframe mode. And now let's go into KitOps. We've got those, KitOps free materials. I want to grab this CW glass out of the KitOps special materials, and I'll just select this and add that material to that. And then I'll grab the, there you go, that came in. And then I'll grab the candle inside. Now, if I look at this, I might want to move that down a little bit. I'm going to tab into that, and let's look at that. Let's just, let's move that down something like so. So notice that what's going on here is that the actual surface is lining perfectly with the inside of this. So we have the candle, just like in physical life, that's exactly what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go into here, and let's go back, and let's grab this, and I'll go, and I'm going to just grab, we'll just add a new material, call it candle, and let's make it kind of a cinnamon color. And now this is kind of looking good in EEVEE, but if we look at it in Cycles, you'll see that it goes to the edge, but you might see that sometimes there might be some rendering artifacts because those lines, those faces are actually matching perfectly. So let's look at this, and actually EEVEE it does look pretty good. So I was going to suggest, if you do have problems, come into this object and go into the here and basically take the solidify, instead of 1, make it 0.999. And now you're going to get this actual material to jump all the way out to the edge of it, like it would look like if it's being rendered. And so that's kind of like, I think, more of a realistic kind of a look to it. Now let's go into here and let's turn off scene lights and scene world, this scene right here. So these are now showing the same HDR. Now I can't render this with this feature right here, but it does kind of help. So I'm going to basically set up a world now. So I'm gonna come back in here. Let's go ahead. Let's add a little bit of subsurface scattering to this. So I'll say 0.5 there, and you can see that now it has a look, more of a candle look, right? So I might make this a little bit more like this. So there, and I set that to 0.5, and so that's going to be our kind of our candle look. And when we render it, actually, I might actually make it like 0.3, something maybe a little bit less. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now you can add a wick in there and all that, and that's up to you. That's not hard to do, obviously. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to say Shift A, and I'm going to add a plane. We'll go back into one view, turn off perspective, and you'll see that we need to move that plane down just a little bit because of that solidify. And there's our plane, and let's just expand it out large. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new material on this plane, and I'm going to make it kind of a medium gray, and I'm going to make the material is going to be metallic. That means it's going to reflect, and the roughness is going to be kind of low, not completely low. I want a little bit of a shadow coming through too. Now I'm not going to see shadows in this view, but in this view I might. I might start to see them, but first let's set up our world. We'll take a look at it first with the world set up. I'll show you what we're going to do, something kind of interesting with when we get ready to render it. So I'm going to come over here and let's kind of look at our shader editor. I'm going to basically, I'll just delete this one, create a brand new world, and here we have it. Okay, so in this world, we're going to add an HDRI, and so the way I do that is hold here with Node Wrangler turned on. We'll just hit Control T at this point. And let's give this environment texture. And we're going to go back up in here and we're going to go and turn on the scene world and the scene lighting as well. And then we'll go ahead and open up something from, let's go into HDRI Haven, see what we have here. Maybe we'll grab something like, here's a studio, small 4K. Let's just do this 4K one. Okay, there we have it. Shift A will add a camera. And I'm going to move this into where I want it. Something like that. And then Control Alt Numpad 0 is going to set the camera to there. Okay. And then I can go over here to Item. Oops, sorry. Let's go to View and, lock camera to view. So that way I can just basically move this around and get it the way I want it. And that's pretty good. Something like that. Now, if I want the actual pass-through, scene pass-through, the actual HDRI being passed through, I can just select our object over here. We'll go into the object properties right here, and we'll look at visibility, and we'll hit the shadow catcher button. And now we're actually passing through, as you can see, whatever's behind it. So I can move this around. So there's some curtains and all this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually find, I'm going to look at my lighting here and find a lighting that I kind of like. I'm going to leave it like this. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take this background. I'm going to say Shift D and I'm going to move it over here. So I've duplicated it. And then I'll hold the Control Shift button and I'll drag between these two. And I'm going to get this mix shader. And you can also just add a mix shader. But I've added this. And then I'll say Shift A and I'm going to add a, on the input, I'm going to add a light path. And that goes somewhere like this. So I'll move it over here. And I'm going to say is camera ray is going to be my FAC. So what this is doing is, this is a very quick setup that allows me to create a background color for my scene, right? So if I look at this, you'll see that I have this background color. And if I change this color, it changes the actual scene. And I have a reflect, because the shadow catcher gives me this reflection, and I can also, Shift A, add in a light, like let's add in a sunlight, and let's give it, let's give it something like 4, and then RR will allow me to rotate it, and you can see I'm rotating around. Let's edit the material here just real quick of the floor object. We've got it almost too reflective, so I'll go in and add a little more roughness. So now you can see where the shadow's coming right there. You can see. So if I go into roughness, and I can also just do this also in this view as well. But the problem is that the shadow catcher doesn't work in EEVEE. It only works in Cycles. So I'm going to go back here, and actually let's do this. We'll go in here and we'll say use the scene lights, use the scene world. And this is in the viewport shading mode. And so now with the sun selected, I can just say RR and I can rotate it to wherever I think it's going to work the best. And I might want the shadow to be like maybe something like this, which is fine. So, and then let's go back into Cycles. And the last thing what I want to do is I'm going to go back into my world here. And with this set, I'm going to go in and hook this up to the surface just like that, just directly. So now I can see through, and then I'm going to grab this color, and I just want to grab one of these, this kind of this green gray color, and then I'll hook this back up. So now I've got the background is kind of matching the color, and that's really it. I mean, that's, if I hit the F12 button now, you'll see I'll get a pretty fast render. Okay, and there we have our final candle, and you can see it looks pretty good. So a lot of interesting things we went over in this particular example, and I hope that some of it was interesting to you and maybe you learned something along the way. So thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.